Good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Today is the day to be weather aware, especially if you live from the lower Midwest all the way to the deep south with dangerous severe weather today with all severe weather hazards expected, including strong, long track tornadoes. We'll go over those details and then another severe weather outbreak looming for Tuesday, April 4th, with again all hazards of severe weather possible, along with the northern side of that system bringing a major blizzard next week across the northern plains and the upper Midwest. We'll talk to you about those details later on in this video. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so be sure to hit the subscribe button down below for detailed weather breakdowns, and also hit the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video here. The more likes we get, the more people that view this video. So I definitely appreciate all the new subscribers and all the likes out there. But we have a very volatile situation developing today. We still have those two moderate risk of severe weather across those red shaded colors. But we also have a large orange area here with an enhanced risk from portions of northeast Iowa, southern and southwestern Wisconsin, all the way south here to the deep south, including portions of southern Arkansas, north central Mississippi, into northwestern Alabama. So we have a large area of severe storms that we definitely have to keep an eye on today. Going through the probabilities of our hazards. So we have the damaging wind probabilities of a 45% chance of 75 or miles per hour or greater type of damaging winds in eastern Iowa, western portions of Illinois, as far north as southwest Wisconsin, and then down here into northeastern Missouri. Definitely want to be on high alert for some hurricane force winds there. And then a secondary area for some 75 mile per hour or greater type winds down here into southeastern Missouri, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, northern portions of Mississippi, northwest Alabama, into eastern Arkansas here. But just generally a large area, at least with 60 mile per hour winds across much of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, all the way down even into northeast Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and Tyler, Texas later on today. Now we look at the large hail probability. We have a 30% hatched risk for hail, so we could have those 2-inch hailstones or larger across portions of east central Iowa, western Illinois, southwest Wisconsin, and getting through much of central and northern Missouri. And then that general hail risk extends again farther south into the deep south and northeast Texas. And finally, the tornado probabilities here. They have actually expanded the 10% tornado probabilities with hatched tornado probabilities of greater than EF2 strength with some of these tornadoes here from portions of eastern Iowa, much of Illinois, getting down into eastern portions of Missouri, northeast Arkansas, western Kentucky, western and middle Tennessee, getting down into northwestern Alabama and northern Mississippi. And just generally, just such a large area for potentially violent long track tornadoes or just tornadoes in general that extends farther southwest here into northeast Texas with at least a 2% probability of tornadoes there just east of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So why do we have this setup? Why is it so volatile? Well, we have temperatures surging up with a warm front this morning across portions of southern Wisconsin into northeast Iowa and northern Illinois. We have temperatures in the 60s, if not the 70s here for high temperatures this afternoon, and a very moist environment as well. Dew points will be rising into the upper 50s, if not lower 60s out here, all the way up into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and eastern Iowa. And that is going to create a big problem here when it comes to energy, the CAPE values, the convective available potential energy, surging all the way up here into Iowa and Illinois, southern Wisconsin. We could be seeing values over 2,000 joules per kilogram, which is much more than you need for severe weather. And we have another dynamic, which is the strong, intense mid-level jet rounding the base of this trough that we could see that jet coming in over 100 knots across the Missouri Valley right into Illinois. So we're going to have a lot of wind shear. And in the lower levels, very concerning low-level shear today. We have a low-level jet here, the 700 millibar layer, over 60 knots in many of these areas into Illinois, southeast Iowa, getting through Missouri, northern portions of Arkansas here. So definitely a large zone we're keeping an eye on. So up here to the north with the northernmost areas here with that first moderate risk and also the northern extent of that enhanced risk, we have storms popping across northern Missouri by noon time frame. The low pressures back here into northwestern Iowa. We got snow on the backside here into the Dakotas. But we're really keeping an eye on these storms here. We got one wave moving in potentially, according to the HRRR model, across northwest Illinois, portions of eastern Iowa near the Davenport Quad Cities, on up toward Rockford, Illinois by mid afternoon. These could pose a risk for strong tornadoes and also some very large hail that could be up to baseball size, as well as those damaging hurricane force wind gusts. Then, as we go into the evening hours, more convection thunderstorms will develop as supercells initially, but quickly grow upscale into a line of storms that will arc across portions of eastern Iowa, western Illinois by 6 o'clock, crossing the Mississippi River by then, and then really surging to the east across the Chicagoland area, getting in toward Indianapolis, all the way down here into portions of Evansville, Indiana, and western Kentucky through the 10 o'clock time frame this evening, before that starts to weaken considerably as it moves in towards portions of Ohio, central and eastern Kentucky, and then eventually western West Virginia into the overnight hours into Saturday morning. Down here across the south, again, another moderate risk with a southernmost extent of the enhanced risk. We got storms popping up from Missouri down into northwest Arkansas, maybe as far south and west as northeast Texas by noon time frame, but it's really afternoon. By mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock, we're starting to see these individual supercells, discrete or semi-discrete supercells from portions of St. Louis down through portions there of Jonesboro, Little Rock, down toward the Pine Bluff area. These could be posing a risk for strong, long-track tornadoes, possibly even a violent tornado with one or two of these cells, as well as some very large hail and potentially some hurricane force wind gusts, especially as they congeal into a line as they move into portions of western Tennessee and eastern Arkansas by 6 o'clock. And then turning to more of a widespread damaging wind risk with still a chance of tornadoes as it moves closer to Nashville and then getting into the Paducah, Kentucky area by later on this evening. As it pushes to the east on Saturday, this will be creating more rainfall for the Northeast, just general rain showers up here into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, getting down toward the Boston region, New York City, not that big of a deal. By 6 a.m., we got that cold front down here across the mid-Atlantic and the southeast, again toward the Atlanta metro area. These storms could be strong with some small hail, some gusty 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, and of course some heavy rain, but I'm not expecting that much of a big deal for severe weather for you. That severe weather threat will be farther south, so we're talking the eastern Carolinas here, places like Raleigh, North Carolina, Wilmington, down through portions of Columbia, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, getting down into Macon, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and then back toward the Tallahassee region for that marginal risk for severe weather on Friday, April 1st, or Saturday, April 1st. And then we have a level 2 of 5, a slight risk up here upgrade across the Pittsburgh area, getting into north central Pennsylvania, much of central and southern New York State. This does include Buffalo up there towards Syracuse, so we definitely have to be on the lookout for that on Saturday. You can see noontime frame, we got that cold front with some stronger storms. A couple of these storms could be producing some damaging winds or some hail down across portions of eastern Carolinas, southern Georgia, North Florida here. Probably not a tornado risk with any of these storms. More storms up near the surface low that will be progressing east across the mid-Atlantic into the western portions of New England by noon. That will form a line with some more widespread strong winds and maybe isolated damaging winds over 60 miles per hour in that slight risk area up here by 6 o'clock on Saturday evening. And then finally by 1 a.m. on Sunday, April 2nd, we'll see high pressure building in across the eastern two-thirds of the country, and we will finally be quieting out with this system getting into the second half of this upcoming weekend. But this system is also going to be posing more hazards. We have some winter weather headlines, including blizzard warnings farther up to the north here into eastern portions and central South Dakota, getting into far southwestern Minnesota with winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings surrounding that, including portions of northern Wisconsin. And you see where the heavy snow will be laying out now through the Sunday time frame, all across portions of South Dakota, central Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, up there toward the UP of Michigan. And we could be seeing some decent snows out of this. 6 to 10 inches is definitely a good bet, especially back here toward the Rapid City area. Farther east into central and eastern South Dakota, a couple of these areas could be seeing upwards of a foot of snow. And then for the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, we could be dealing with about 6, 7 inches for you. Pushing its way off to the east, northern Wisconsin, a couple of these areas could be seeing up to a foot of snow, maybe 12, 13, 14 inches up here toward the Marquette area in towards the UP of Michigan. So definitely some very heavy snow and plowable snow at that for this weekend, farther up to the north on the cold side of the system. And then as it moves farther east into the northeast, maybe an inch or two of snow across western Maine, northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and maybe a dusting to a half an inch for upstate New York going through the latter half of this weekend. We're also seeing a lot of wind alerts with this. We got widespread wind advisories in these tan shaded colors, even some high wind warnings across portions of the mid-Atlantic, and red flag warnings farther to the west where we have dry soils with ongoing drought. So we have lots of wind to talk about. These are your maximum wind gusts. Anywhere in the red shaded color, you're at least guaranteed 40 mile per hour wind gusts through today and into Saturday morning. And anywhere you see in these yellow or tan shaded colors into portions of central Colorado, down into the panhandle of Texas, northeastern New Mexico, and parts of Kansas there, those areas could see over 60 mile per hour wind gusts going through early on this weekend on Saturday. And that's why we have those wind advisories and those red flag warnings as well, because the relative humidity values will be down into about 10, 20% in a lot of these areas across the southern plains and down here into New Mexico. That even continues going into Saturday. The moisture will get a little stronger on Saturday, but still dry enough to kick up some fires out there. So with that said, the day one fire weather risk from the Storm Prediction Center on Friday today has a critical area of fire weather concerns across southwestern Kansas, western Oklahoma, down through the panhandle. So Amarillo to Midland, Lubbock, Texas, down toward the El Paso region, and then getting back here toward the Albuquerque area in New Mexico, and then eventually up into southeastern Colorado. Those are the areas to watch today. And then that area is again confined with a critical fire weather risk on Saturday across southeastern Colorado, northwestern panhandle there of Oklahoma, Texas, and northeastern portions of New Mexico there going into this weekend. Then our next system pushes into the Pacific Northwest. This is going to be another big system moving in toward the early and middle portion of next week. As this trough starts to dive down toward the south, we're going to see lots of deepening with this across portions of Nevada, getting into Utah here and much of the Intermountain West. And this will likely bring our next snow chances to the higher elevations, especially of the Pacific Northwest on Sunday. That continues to sprawl its way to the south and east across portions of the Four Corners region and the Intermountain West on Monday. The Rockies here will be getting their fair share of snow again for Salt Lake City, back up there towards Cheyenne, Wyoming, and portions of northwest Colorado on Monday. And you can see this is going to be dropping some decent snow, at least several inches in those higher elevations into western Washington, western Oregon. The Sierra Nevadas there in California could see a few inches of snow, getting up into northeastern and eastern New Mexico, the Salt Lake City area into much of Utah, getting into southern portions of Wyoming toward the Cheyenne, Wyoming area. We could be seeing several inches of snow going from Sunday, April 2nd through Tuesday, April 4th, early next week. And then that system starts to eject and take a negative tilt with the trough on Tuesday. And with negatively tilted troughs, especially when we have a ridge of high pressure farther east, we definitely have to be concerned about more severe weather, especially as this trough ejects from the Central Plains all the way up now into the upper Great Lakes region on Wednesday next week. And you can see ahead of that system, we're going to have that southerly return flow again starting on Sunday. Behind that system that we're seeing today into Saturday, we're going to have temperatures getting back into the 70s, 80s, and even some 90s down here toward the Rio Grande Valley and even southern Florida on Sunday. Much more of the widespread upper 80s and low 90s across Oklahoma, much of Texas, Louisiana on Monday. 60s and 70s surging north with a warm front into the mid-Missouri Valley on Monday afternoon and even the Ohio Valley. And then look at the 80s getting all the way up into Missouri here, mid-70s up there toward the Davenport, Quad Cities, Des Moines. That's with the warm front on Tuesday. So this system might be more thermodynamically driven than the last system that we're seeing today. And that will be pulling up a lot more moisture here across at least the lower Missouri Valley on Monday. But that surges all the way up into Iowa Iowa here. Again, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Indiana here, maybe southern Michigan on Tuesday. A very pronounced dry line and cold front with this system, and a very dynamic mid-level jet again, probably over 100 knots, starting to take that negative tilt into the Midwest, and that is concerning. So already, again, 5 days out, the Storm Prediction Center on Tuesday, April 4th, already has the tag for a potential severe weather outbreak, which could be significant. We already have a 30% or equivalent to an enhanced risk, level 3 of 5, across western Illinois, southern Iowa, all the way through much of Missouri, northwest Arkansas, into extreme eastern Oklahoma and Kansas here. And that actually moves closer to the Chicagoland area and Indianapolis as well, into central Kentucky and portions of western Tennessee through that Tuesday timeframe. All hazards will be in play, including strong tornadoes, so definitely a time to watch. You can see by Tuesday morning, we got the snow and the blizzard starting to develop up to the north, across the Dakotas, getting back into western Nebraska here, but that system will really start to deepen. A 979 millibar low somewhere across northeast Nebraska, northwestern Iowa. We got the warm front we have to watch up here for tornadoes, and that dry line and cold front could spark some supercells Tuesday evening. That will move east with a line of storms with damaging winds likely across the Ohio Valley into the Tennessee Valley Wednesday morning, with a very strong snowstorm and blizzard on the northwest side as that deepens to a 976 millibar low in central Minnesota by Wednesday morning. And then we'll start to see high pressure working in the backside as that system pushes to the east coast as we get into late next week on Thursday morning on April 6th. This system will be dropping more heavy rain, so make no mistake about it. More heavy rain across the deep south, portions of the Tennessee Valley, Ohio Valley, and then on up into the northeast through next week. And the system will be dropping some very heavy snow. Again, a lot of this winter we've had snow farther north, more of the same as we go into next week. We have a major blizzard on the way. Both of our longer range weather models are actually showing up to a foot or more of snow across the eastern Dakotas, northwestern portions of Minnesota, and possibly up into the Ontario there, going in towards the middle and late portion of next week. And on the backside of this low pressure system, especially the European model, is very aggressive with these blizzard-like conditions, probably whiteout conditions into the eastern Dakotas, western portions of Minnesota, and then down into northwest Iowa with this system going through next week. But then the pattern does change. We finally start to kind of move into a lull in the active weather pattern that we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. We have some below normal temperatures with northwesterly flow aloft from Canada starting to dominate the center of the country. We'll dampen that ridge across the southeast down to Florida, and we'll start to ridge out across the west as well. So right in between, we're going to see a drier weather pattern emerge into the second week in April, from April 7th through the 13th, and all the active weather will be pushed southward toward Texas here, the Rio Grande Valley, and then across the southeast and maybe parts of the mid-Atlantic going through that second week in April. So that will be a welcome sight for all the severe weather we've been seeing. Wait till the second week in April, and we'll definitely be quieting down a little bit between now and then. But definitely know the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means stay alert. Severe storms are possible. Tornadoes are possible as well in your area. A warning means take action immediately. A severe storm or tornado is imminently moving into your area, and with the storms moving quickly, you want to have many areas of interest for getting weather watches and warnings, whether it's a NOAA weather radio, your smartphone, laptop, tablet, anything you can, even by watching on TV, meteorologists on there. Keep a watchful eye to the sky, and again, with a warning, act immediately. Get indoors, get down, and cover up as well. And if you have any helmets or anything, that can definitely save your life during a strong tornado event like we could see today from the Midwest and towards the Mid-South. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video down below, give me a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great and safe rest of your week, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video.